Hey everyone, Dan here. So, over all the time I've put into Dragon Ball FighterZ, I've noticed that there are some things that players tend to either forget or maybe they're just generally not very aware of. And if they were to remember these things, it would improve their game basically overnight. So, I figured this would be a good opportunity to hopefully help some of you with some habits that you have that you may not even be aware of. These are all things that in order to pull them off, all you really need to do is make a mental note about them while you play. So you should be able to implement these pretty easily. When trying to press buttons on defense, a lot of people tend to press light, and this is a really bad idea. Because of the auto combo follow-ups, if you start mashing that out and it whiffs, you're gonna get heavily punished. There's an easy solution to this, and it's simply to press light-medium instead of light. Most normals don't cancel into other normals on whiff, auto combo is just an exception. This means that, if you don't make contact, you'll return back to a neutral state instead of overextending with another button, making you harder to punish. And if you do make contact, it'll cancel into the second normal, giving you time to go into a combo or a block string. Just be sure not to keep mashing on the medium though. That's not good either, since you'll just end up whiffing two buttons. One press is enough. Let's look at a familiar situation. You end a combo, get a sliding knockdown, and go for an instant air dash heavy to apply some pressure. The opponent techs up, and they do get hit, but now they fall back to the ground, recover, and you just missed out on a ton of damage because you couldn't follow up. This is something I see a lot of players do. Instead of using an instant air dash heavy, try using an instant air dash light. Now keep in mind, this is not optimal, and ultimately what you want to be doing is mixing up your offense based on what you think your opponent is going to do. For example, use a jumping normal if you think they'll recover high, use an instant air dash into a normal if they recover grounded, or hit them with a meaty if they do delay getup. But this is still a useful piece of knowledge for those who are having trouble breaking the habit of autopiloting IAD Heavy, as it at the very least grants a better reward if you land a hit you weren't expecting, and can be used as a first step in mixing in other options into your Okizeme. Now, if you do land the hits, it does scale worse than an instant air dash heavy, but the trade-off is that you get to actually convert into a combo on hit regardless of how your opponent recovers. If you do an instant air dash light instead, then it gives you enough time to go into an air 2H and get a combo. And if they recovered on the ground, it works just like every other starter. Obviously, there are characters that don't have a launching air 2H, but even then I'd still say it's worth it to go for the light instead, because chances are you're still gonna have something that you can go into that'll end up getting you better damage in Okizeme than just smacking them with a heavy. Remember, Super Dash doesn't jail when in Sparking Blast. When you block it, there's still a gap between the Super Dash itself and the normal coming out. I see a lot of people simply take the string after Super Dash connects every single time when they could have done something to get out of that and potentially punished. The gap lets you reflect, reversal, or level 3 with no issues. Taking advantage of this gap is important not only for protecting yourself, but also wasting time for Sparking Blast to end. And if they start getting wary and start baiting the reflect or the reversal or the supers after their Super Dash, just start pressing buttons or Dragon Rush them. On the topic of reflect, here's one that I see way too often. There are two ways to deal with reflect when you know it's coming. You can either Dragon Rush or wait for the reflect to end and punish it. What a lot of people do when they read a reflect is they just kind of autopilot into Dragon Rush, and while this is a way to punish reflect, you get much more reward off of baiting it and punishing it with preferably a 2M. Reflect is super punishable on whiff, so you should really only be Dragon Rushing a reflect if you either want to go for a snapback or aren't sure if they're going to reflect or block. This one is more of a small optimization, but try to find spots in what you do to inconsequentially gain meter. For example, if you want to use a super after sliding knockdown, dash forward a little bit before doing the super to gain a little bit more meter. You can do the same thing with assist into Dragon Rush extensions too. Depending on the assist you use, you can dash forward a little bit before Dragon Rushing. It doesn't seem like much, but it definitely adds up over time. And it's more than just throwing in extra dashes too. For example, when you Dragon Rush someone and it's going to kill in the next hit, be sure to end it with either a meter building special or a JH to get the most meter out of it. There are instances like this throughout the game, and identifying them so you can squeeze out a little bit more meter might mean the difference between killing a character or not later in the match. Finally, and this one is the most important, know your defensive options and learn how to mix them up. This seems like it should be common sense, but I feel like it's something that a lot of players are aware of but don't actually do. Mostly because it's a lot harder to practice defense than it is to practice offense. Things like always waking up with the same timing, recovering in the same direction, pressing buttons to steal a turn at the wrong time, and reflecting at the same points in a string are all things that a skilled player will pick up on and target. Don't always up tech and block, you'll get opened up with a Dragon Rush. Don't always wake up with the same timing, you'll keep eating the same meaty. Doing different things not only keeps you less predictable, but throws off your opponent's flow as well, forcing them to change how they play. Mixing up your defense is just as important as mixing up your offense. And there you have it. Hopefully you found something here that can help you out. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, why not consider subscribing or even checking out our Patreon. And as always, a big thank you to our patrons for helping us make this content possible. Now you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.